Did you ever wonder how that works, giving consent? Did you ever feel that you are giving consent, but in the end, it didn't really work out the way you wanted it to work? So was there a way that you might have been able to improve giving your consent, your negotiation that you're doing on up front? I believe that there is a great way to give consent in a way that will do both of you right, the submissive and the dominant, because the dominant is as much dependent on your consent as you are, because there's the only way that he can give you what you need and play within your limits, play freely. You don't, as a dominant, you don't want to think about, was this in our limits or not? That you're not certain whether your submissive wants it or not, or your bottom. Just make sure that your consent up front is following the following rule. It's called FRIES. That's easy to remember, right? The F means freely giving. It means that you really enjoy it and that you can give it without the thought like, yeah, I know that he wants it so much, but I actually don't feel like it, but I'm going to do it anyway. I compare it always with going to your mother-in-law's birthday, and your partner asks you to come with you. Now you have a lot of choices. You can go there, you can not go there, right? Now imagine that you're really not feeling like going there, but you're going anyway because your family-in-law expects it, your partner expects it. You really don't want to be the deal breaker all the time. You feel obligated to your relationship, to your family, to your mother-in-law that you really still want to make a good impression on, even though you know that after 10 years it's not going to happen anyway, ever, and still you want to go there. That's the opposite of freely consent. Freely consent means, yes, I'm going there and I'm going to give my 100%. And it still can be that you're going to that birthday with free consent because you decide that your relationship is worth it and your family-in-law is worth it, and you go there and you freely consent. The point is, when you're not freely consenting, if you're not so caring about what other people think, then it might be easier to say that. But I had a friend and she went to those birthdays, and what happens is she sat in the corner with a face like this. That's not free consent, right? And you can imagine, okay, this is the extreme, of course, but you can imagine that also in a scene, it might be that, especially for instance, if you're playing in a dungeon and there are loads of people around, and he's asking you and there are other people and you actually would like to impress them and like yeah, go for it, while you're actually not feeling well, for instance. I know that when I'm having my period, I can take a lot less. I'm very emotional. I'm usually not so into the impact play then. I could definitely use, I like the intimate play, like playing with wax or with needles, that kind of play I can take very well, but not the pain that is impacting. But if my master then suggests an intimate impact play, I might just give in because I know that he wants it and he likes it a lot. He's totally into impact play. That's the F. The R stands for reversible. If you feel halfway that you consented to a scene and you feel halfway that it's not what you want, it doesn't give you, it doesn't bring you, the energy is not right for you, you're not feeling comfortable or safe, it's possible to reverse your consent. And knowing this is also giving a lot of space and freedom. And usually it's also the fact that you know that you can reverse it will create a safer space. And that's why this is so important. And by the way, this does not only count for subs. This counts for dominance as well. The I stands for informed. And with informed, it means that you know what you're up to. You know what you're starting from. You know what the dangers are, for instance. you know what you're doing. You know what you're starting at. I mean, it's very nice to say, I want to try something that I never tried before, but you have no clue how you're going to react on it. That's a different type of consent. So make sure that you know exactly what it is that you're talking about. Don't play with anything that you didn't discuss. So if you're going to play with needles, for instance, if your first time needles, we did a few needle sessions. The first time that we did needles, I mean, I can take a lot of pain on my breasts and I can take very little pain on my pussy for needles. We discussed it and I told him I want my breasts and my nipples that are totally fine. But for my pussy, just use my outer lips. That's very clear. So it means that he's not going any further. This is it. This is his playground. This is what we discussed. That's what I mean also with consent, with informed consent. You know what you're up to. And I also only told him that he needed to ask me after we played with my breast and my belly, by the way, and that after that he could ask me if I would be willing to go for it for my pussy. Because then I knew a bit about the pain, because I had no clue what it would do if he pushes a needle in me. Well, we found out that I really loved it, so we went further with the pussy lift, but that was it. And even when I asked for more, that was it. We didn't discuss that up front. And you know what happens when you're in the adrenaline rush, and so we just left it here. And that was good. We were on the high end and it was the top of the experience, so it was good to stop there. That's what informed is. Enthusiastic. I told you also about the freely given. Enthusiastic follows a bit in the same area. There are things that you said, yeah, to me this is my learning point. Impact play, my master just can give me impact play every day. He loves that. I am not so much into impact play. Well, I am into impact play, but it depends on which impact instrument he's using. The cane for me is pretty intense. So I prefer that he doesn't do that every day. But when he will ask, I will almost say yes. So far I didn't say no to him. Well, I think that there are times that I should. In the past 10 days, I think I got 10 canings or so, and they were all good. And also we're now almost 4 years together. We don't have a lot of time to play, of course, especially because for 1.5 years we didn't see each other. So that's probably also why he wants to give me a lot of canings, and also why I wanted to feel it, because it's a way to connect. But I remember that one point that what I did was I told him, I want to be caned, but I want you to not give me the hard caning. So you can build it up and you can do like a lot of canes, but then soft. That I can handle, but I don't want like the really harsh ones, please, not for now. So this was my way. In that I can enthusiastically consent, because this is what I like. And this is what I want, and this is what I know that I can take and that I can process and that I want to process at that moment. So that's, for me, is informed, is enthusiastically, and I think that's so important. If somebody is not like, it's like, oh, would you like to do some bondage with me? Like, okay, I would like to try it. That's not enthusiastic consent. And you have a responsibility as a dominant to find this if she's really enthusiastic about it. The last one, specific. Yeah, in a way I covered that also already. Specific means that you're discussing very specific what you're talking about. So what I said with the needles, these areas yes, this area no. That's specific. If it's not discussed, it's out of the question. Play with passion.